6:31 p.m. Roll call, Councilor Burrell.
Here.
Councilor Bordelon. Here. Councilor Fitzgerald informed me he'll be late. He's at TVCCA. Councilor Good.
Here.
Councilor Jones informed me that he'll be absent this evening. Councilor McBride.
Here.
Councilor Merritt is absent. Councilor Pacino.
Here.
And myself, Mayor Parker. We have 7 out of 9. I'm declaring a quorum. Calendar and communications, Councilor Bordelon.
6 right now.
Oh, I apologize. We have 6.
Yeah, I was going to say 6.
Councilor Bordelon, your calendar and communications?
Sure, thank you. I just want to thank all the people involved with the Mystic Irish Parade. Great walking in that. I know Councilor Fitzgerald is part of the committee, so thank you, Mr. Powers, for reaching out, and everybody. Despite the weather that was coming, it held out enough for it to be successful. A couple weeks prior to that, I attended, like I had stated, the fundraising event for the parade, so that was great. The day before the parade on Saturday, I also attended the Terry Broder breast cancer fundraiser over in New London at Port and Starboard. It was, great evening, great opportunity to come together as a community and fundraise for a good cause, and had a great time. I did receive an email from Town Manager Burt that former Mayor Rachel Franco had sent out an FOI request. I responded to the town manager based on the communications that she was asking. I did not have anything, and anything that would be in my town email. And what else did I have? I think that is all I have for communications. I've just seen the normal communications that everyone else has sent. I think town manager about River Road and different things from Mr. Bogle. I did receive a phone call from a client in Noe complaining about the potholes on the roads there and the deplorable conditions that the roads are deteriorating, and wondering, despite whatever is going to be done in Main Street, it shouldn't hold up the fact that, there's repairs that are needed on the roads throughout Noe. So I said I would pass that message forward. I asked them to also send something in an email if they could. Thank you.
Great, and Director Reiner is in the crowd, and he just heard that, so.
Yeah. Again, not my words, just passing on
Sure,
their concerns
sure.
about the safety and the quality of the roads over there.
All set, Councilor Bordelon?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Councilor Burrell?
Yes, I attended the Trails Coordinating Council meeting today. We discussed the basically new addition to the crosstown trail and there's a signage coming up. Other than that, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Mayor, if you could have the town manager turn the screen so you can see the clock timer, it'd be helpful. I know in the past he's turned it just a little bit. It's cutting it off halfway. Thank you.
Shane, if
Cal-
you're back there, can you adjust that?
Councilor Pacino?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing to pass tonight.
Councilor Good?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing to add tonight. Thank you.
Councilor McBride?
Thank you. I want to congratulate the group, Kevin, and the committee on a successful parade. I wasn't able to attend, but I hope to be there next year. Lots of emails on the budget. I want to thank all the residents and others for their comments on supporting various measures, and also for questions that they have on the budget. Also received some comments on River Road, some of the improvements, particularly the slated asphalt pavement management plan that's going to be done on River Road. A lot of people have emailed me, or a few people, I should say, have emailed me in support of it, but I've also received some comments from residents of that road, very concerned. They're supportive of the pavement, but they're very concerned about traffic speed concerns, and they want to know if the council will review and work with Town Manager Burt on installing some speed mitigation techniques, because they're concerned about the traffic on that speed, so hopefully we can consider that going forward. One other thing I want to note is, I need to apologize. I'm going to miss 2 budget meetings this year, and it's a result of, I was, back in the summertime, I was asked to teach a course at UConn, so I'm teaching a financial course on Thursday nights, and I accepted the course thinking the plan would be we'd have the Saturday meetings and not the Thursday meetings. So I won't be able to attend 2 meetings, but I will provide my comments and questions to the counselors who hopefully can move things forward as it happened last year. I think Counselor Jones raised some of my questions. So I will be providing detailed questions and answers as I did Town Manager Burt on the Board of Ed that he requested last week. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Burt?
Just to mention on River Road, that actually will go to the traffic authority for any calming measures, so we will look at that, so.
Excellent.
Okay, my turn. So I did miss something. I participated in Read Across America at Catherine Kalinowski School. That was on March 5th. I attended a meeting with DOT along with Mr. Burt regarding Gold Star Highway Bridge. Information has been posted, and there's going to be another meeting regarding it. Met with the governor, and we had some discussions on his interests and what he would like to see for Groton. Definitely the 250th anniversary events, so we need to make sure we get that to him, and a couple of other things that I'll follow up with because it's part of the agenda tonight. I attended the State of Groton/Stonington that was hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, both Greater Mystic and Eastern Connecticut, and want to say that Mr. Burt did a wonderful job, had everybody laughing, so he made everything easier. I was able to read at TVCCA Head Start. I attended the Children's First Groton 4th Annual Early Childhood Resource Fair and participated in the Mystic Irish Parade. Thank you to Mr. Kevin Power and all the organizers. It was a well-run event. I attended the EB legislative meeting yesterday morning, and I believe that is all I have to discuss. Thank you. Moving on. Approval of the minutes. Counselor McBride, could you do that for me, please?
Yes, certainly. I'd like to move forward with the approval of the minutes from 2026-196 of the dated minutes, March 10th, 2026.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor McBride and seconded by Counselor Good. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Counselor Bordelon? Counselor Bordelon?
Yeah, I said aye.
6-0. Moving on, new business. Counselor Good.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 2026-216,
17.
17. Then I'm on the wrong page. Just give me a minute.
And as you're doing that, I would like to ask Chairperson Washington and Superintendent Austin to come to the table, please.
I'm ready. Thank you. Item 2026-217, Workforce Development Project Grant for Fitch High School. I move to recommend a resolution approving the Board of Education to apply and receive the Workforce Development Project Grant in the amount of $248,499.35, and to refer the matter to the RTM per Rule 6.5.3.
Second?
Motion's been made by Good and seconded by Bordelon. And, hi, would you like to provide us some information, please, for the public? Thank you.
For many years, Groton Public Schools has had this wonderful partnership with Electric Boat, and they provided different programs for our students. So in K-5, we have a program called The Boat for Kids, and kids really get to learn some of the trades of building a submarine, and it's really pretty cool. They're very excited about it. In the middle school, there's a Boat for Explorers and also the Sea Perch, which is this robotics robot that goes underwater, and they have these boat competitions, and the kids love that too. And then at the high school, we have the boat for next gen, and we've had probably at least 20 or 30 kids go through that each year, that program, and they really are trained by Electric Boat, and they participate at Grosso Tech in the signing day, where they get a yellow hard hat and they get a job. And those jobs are paying really well, like starting at $25 with really nice benefits and going up to $64,000 as starters without college education. So it's such an opportunity for our children. And they approached me because of these partnerships a few years back to say, really, we'd love to be able to support you in developing a manufacturing center. And of course, at the same time, I had been walking around the building and I found this old auto shop, which was stored with all kinds of stuff that really was probably not necessary, you know, just like you would in your garage. And so we basically thought if we could clean that out, that would be a real viable space for the machine shop. And in all of that, I also attended the legislative breakfast, and it was really wonderful, very exciting, the presentation on Electric Boat. And Congressman Courtney was there and did a shout out for Groton and Fitch High School for, you know, having this manufacturing hub in southeastern Connecticut. And it by day, kids can take courses in robotics. I call it the DREAM, Department of Robotics, Engineering, Architecture, Manufacturing, Machining. And you know, at night, they can participate in robotics team during their season. We have an adult ed program that could get training and get viable jobs and, you know, get their education, their either their diploma or their GED and a job. So I think it's a real potential for our community. And I was so happy that they called on Groton and not other districts, local districts in other towns. So I have this little competitiveness in me. But anyways, it comes, as you announced, at $248,499.35. We've also contributed some Perkins money to this. This is a grant for workforce development, and we had some DODEA funds for wrapping up a career grant, Department of Defense education activity. And so we were able to buy some tools and supplies with that. I'm so grateful to the town for giving us the CIP, which allowed us to clean out and get that to be a viable space for students to work from. So I think it's really been a collaboration and working in the community, and I'm truly grateful. And Bev?
Well, this is be a great opportunity for our students. It's going to provide them, the machine shop will provide them with another skill set, and it will also help close the financial gap, because not all our students are going to go to college. Years ago, we thought, you know, the school said all the students would be going to college. Well, now we're finding out that a lot of the students aren't going to college. So this machine shop will give them an opportunity to get a good job, make good wages, and close that financial gap that we're seeing in our area. So I think thank you for Electric Boat for investing in our community, because this means a lot to us. And you know, we have the career pathways, and now we have the CNA program, and we have the EMT program. This is going to add to our career pathways program up at the high school. It's a great opportunity for our students and a great investment from Electric Boat. So I hope you all support it, and we can move forward with our agenda.
Any questions? Counselor McBride?
Yeah, no question. Just want to say thanks, EB, and congratulations on this award. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Pacino?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With this, I got to push a button. With this grant money, how much will be going to the garage space you found, and how much will be going to, how many students are there in this program altogether?
So we have probably 55 students who've expressed interest for next year in a robotics class, and also we have at least 20 who are interested in machining. So we do have kids of interest. We've had a manufacturing course, so this is going to be we're going to tweak the curriculum a little bit. It really starts out with safety and how do you use tools. I mean, kids aren't learning these things these days, and they're still important. I mean, we really do need people in the trades. EB announced yesterday 8,000 jobs, 2,500 right here in Groton. So, you know, it could be a fabulous career for kids.
Fantastic. And now, as I started to ask, how much are you going to be putting
Oh,
of
I'm
this
sorry.
toward that garage space?
So it's actually these CNC machines. I've seen pictures of them, but they're really for the machining. So there's multiple machines that we're purchasing, really awesome machines
Oh, what's
for
that
them
number?
to be using. So I think there's about 12 machines all in all that will go into the machine shop.
And how-
We've already cleared it out.
Well, I understand, but I'm trying to figure out, of the 250, roughly 250,000, how much of that money is going toward the garage space?
So the machines are going in the garage space. The garage space is all ready to go. It's been done. So we've been able to take care of the garage space to get it ready.
But how
So-
much money, he's asking?
So-
Out of the $248,000, how much money are we gonna put?
None. I mean, all the money is for the machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, machines.
Okay,
So the whole 248,000 is going toward the machine shop.
gotcha. All right. And last thing is that I only take a little exception to the notion that I have stuff in my garage that's not necessary. Everything's necessary in my garage.
Yeah, I know. That's coming from me because I know I have stuff in my garage that I don't need.
With that said, I am good.
Okay. Council Bordelon.
Thank you. I'm really excited about this program. And I've expressed that, interest a while back. And have had the chance to kind of explore other programs and actually ran into some people, actually, same day when I was actually talking with Superintendent Austin at the MLK dinner. There was a school there that, and I can't remember what school, maybe it was in Rhode Island perhaps, that had this program already up and running. And the success and the energy that this gentleman spoke about was just really exciting. And it's really good for Groton, considering, we are right here with EB in our town, as well as the submarine force. So, as it was already stated, not every child wants to go to college or can afford to go to college in this state of the economy. And this provides a very solid position that has growth and advancement, and some kids or young adults may consider just sticking with this path. The trades are suffering and need people, and I think this is a call to duty for the town to rise up and offer kids other options. Some of the students used to tell me, my kids' friends and other kids in the community used to say, oh, they took away the general classes and they made everything college prep. What am I prepping for? I don't plan to go to college. There's kids that already are in school that already know they don't want to go to college. And they want an opportunity, and they want to feel that the community has a track for them that advances them what they want to do. And for many years, I've heard kids say, everything's college focused, college prep, IB this, honors AP that. And for them, some of them, it's great. It's a great opportunity for the right student, but it's not for every student. So I'm really excited about this. I'm excited to see where it takes off. I guess my question is to Susan, how many more grants are we able to get, and what else are we going to need beyond this?
We're actually investigating that. I'm having conversations with EB for, looking for future growth in this area. And there's actually a T-Mobile community grant that I'm inspecting to see if there could be additional funds there. So we're always, Portia, we're always looking for grants. We've got Sharon Weigel, who is amazing, and she is constantly looking. We're actually pursuing a Perkins grant. We've had on our team Sean McEwen, who is the director at Connecticut State Department of Ed of all career tech instruction, and we can get supplemental Perkins funds and additional funding through the state. So we're investigating every angle we can.
That's awesome. And, another thing to note is, when I was talking to some of the people from the other programs, they had a student who went into this that wanted to go to college, whose family couldn't help or afford them to go, and they were able to land a job making pretty good money and has since then, used that money to help fund themselves going back to college. So this is a great opportunity, and I just can't be even more excited.
Thank
I
you.
hope it's a success. My only concern is, I hope that with this grant, it's not going to be a one-stop shop. I hope that we continue to grow this program and don't let it fall under after the grants are, not being awarded. We have to keep it going. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Well, I think now, Portia, public schools are now looking at workforce trends to help develop programs for those students that are not going to college. So I think this is a program that will stay at Fitch High School for a very, very long time.
That's exciting to hear. Thank you, Bev.
In addition, what I've also heard is from some of the people who run in the machine shop who've come out to Fitch to look at the thing, they've said, I first came out in the trades and I learned how to use the machines, and then I did go back to college and did engineering. He says every engineer needs to be able to work with their hands and understand how to build these things before they even go to college. So I think there's a lot of synergy there with kids who, like our robotics team kids who maybe want to go to college and do engineering, but they're having this hands-on experience. So.
Council Borderline, you raising your hand again?
Yes, thank you. I had
No,
one other
no,
thought.
you don't have a second turn. You still have 22 seconds.
Oh, all right. If I run out, I'll use my second turn after then. Thank you for that. I didn't know I still had time. I apologize.
Okay, Council Good.
Is she?
No, she's got to wait until all the first times.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to extend my thanks to Superintendent Austin, Chair Bev, for bringing this forward. I'm also very excited about this. Also extend my thanks to the management at EB for giving Fitch this opportunity. 25 years in the trades, I know the rarest trade to actually hire somebody with experience in is the machine shop. It's very exciting. I think it's not only great for the students at Fitch, but it's also great for one of our largest employers, if not largest employer, Electric Boat. So I truly appreciate this. It's fantastic. Also, I can imagine, just like 40 years ago, small machine shops popping up around Groton again, which would be great. Always keep the supply chain open. So thank you.
It's a
again.
dream, field of dreams. Build it and they will
There you
come.
go. Thank you.
All set? All set?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to let everyone know that Councilor Fitzgerald arrived at 6:54. Thank you. I know you had TVCCA. And we're on workforce development, the very first item. And I'm going to take my turn before I go to second time. Thank you both for working on this, and thank you, Electric Boat, for investing in our students. I do remember being able, back in the day, and I'm going to date myself a bit, when we had workshop, wood shop, metal shop, we had to learn that in junior high, when it was 7th through 9th grade. So it's nice that it's being brought back so people can get the hands-on experience. So that's all I want to say, is say thank you, and I'm glad it's coming back, because not everybody wants to go to college. They want to be out there in the workforce, so thank you. I'm all set.
And also the government, the federal government wants manufacturing to come back to the United States. So even, I hate to say this, even if our kids don't stay in Groton, if they move elsewhere, it's an opportunity for them to have a good paying job, because we're hoping to get manufacturing back in this country.
Yes. Councilor Fisher, did you have anything before I go to second terms?
No, well, I'd say I appreciate your work for the grant, and I agree that it's important for both the immediate life skills as well as the job pipeline. So looking forward to seeing the program roll out again.
And please, when we get the program up and running, come see it. Really, come to our schools. If you, like Juliet went to Catherine Kanaski, please come into the schools and take a look at what's going on. But definitely come to see the machine shop once we get it up and going. Well, I'll ask Susan to send you an invite so you can come up there and tour it.
And anybody who has an 8th grader might let them know that there's a dream thing up there at that high school.
He's well aware.
Council Bordelon for your second turn.
Thank you. Do you know of any other, how many schools in New London County have this program?
None.
That's what,
Because
yeah,
we're like the
that's-
southeastern hub.
Yeah, so that's,
So-
I just want to highlight that. That's one of the things
Yeah.
that I had noticed. I wanted to make sure through my research, I saw it in Rhode Island elsewhere. So, we're really putting ourselves on the map. And as it was stated, I can agree, yeah, we had, carpentry classes and other sewing and home economics. And those were great tools, but this is even better with the opportunity that EB is gonna, interview these students who show and excel and interest in the trades. So that's really another added piece. So I just think it's great, and I encourage you guys to get it out there on social media that, it's another economic driver, right? We talk about what things attract people. When parents are moving to the area looking for schools, knowing that this program exist does set us apart. So make sure you guys, get that out there. It's a
Absolutely.
good thing to put out there to the community because it sets us apart from East Lyme and Old Lyme and Ledyard. Ledyard has a VOAC program, but not a program like this. So I think this is a good, hats off to Groton, kind of good publicity to put out there. So to Susan, Superintendent, with your resource coordinator that works with the community, are you guys planning to put anything out publicly a little bit more?
Oh, yeah, we're planning on, once this goes through, we get all of our approvals, we definitely want to advertise it. One of the other things that EB will do for us is they will train our teachers. So we had a teacher retire from the CTE department, so we're going to be looking for a teacher with these skills. And even if they come to us with some skills, EB will do a whole summer program and train them specifically this way. We don't pay for a thing. They pay the teacher's salary, they pay, they have them train over at EB. So this is really truly a partnership that I appreciate.
Yes, it's really exciting. So I'm excited to hear that, and I think it really will be a big splash for Groton that sets us apart. It's like what is a driver that, education is, one of the major drivers. Having an opportunity like this is definitely, could be a reason for someone to want to be in Groton, so thank you.
One more time for me. Thank you.
Can I say one more thing, too?
Yes.
This is one program that has the potential of giving us a return on our investment. I just want to say that.
So, yeah. So in our background packet, it does says there's no matching funds and no obligation from the town. So everything is paid for by Electric Boat, and it's a grant period time. So hopefully there'll be extensions of doing further
Right.
assistance. So again, thank you.
Thank you. That's why we look for even additional things to support it.
Thank you. Okay. And now we're going to the vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions. So 7-0. All right, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Have a good night.
I'll let you know when it's ready to see.
Let me know when I can come visit.
What's that?
We'll let you know.
You
So
can come
come
visit.
All right, I'm putting you on the spot, Council Fisher. We are now on to, do we have a vote? Wait a minute. Oh, it's in the back. Well, that's this. Where's the vote? The motion to make it. No, is it? You looking for the motion too?
Yeah, oh, it's on the line.
Thank you. Did you take that one for me? Sure.
Item number 2026-216, OPDS Public Works reorganizational structure and job descriptions. I recommend a resolution approving of the organizational changes and job descriptions as outlined above.
Second.
He's still reading, thank you.
Combining the Department of Planning and Development Services and Department of Public Works, adding the new positions as outlined above, changing the wage range document as proposed, eliminating the one position as indicated above, and using wastewater funding as outlined.
Second.
A motion made by Fitzgerald, seconded by Good, and I'm going to ask
I'll do a little
intro.
kickoff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Good evening. As the council knows, following the retirement of longtime Director of Public Works Greg Hanover, we initiated a recruitment process to identify a successor for that role. While we received interest, the process did not ultimately yield a candidate who is the right fit for the town's current and future needs. In the interim, John Reiner, Director of Planning, has been serving as Acting Director of Public Works. During this period, we've had the opportunity to evaluate not only his performance in that capacity, but also how the two departments can best work together to meet the town's operational and strategic goals. John's demonstrated a strong ability to engage the staff, build collaboration, and maximize team potential, which has been especially valuable during this time. Based on that experience, I do recommend the town formally combine the Public Works and Planning departments. The unified structure is intended to strengthen coordination, improve efficiency, and better align our infrastructure development and long-range planning efforts. And I'll turn it over to them.
John Reiner, Director of Planning and Development Services, Acting Director of Public Works.
Hi, Arnisha Green, Director of HR and Risk Management for the town. And I'll start us off with just a quick summary. As you know, your packet contains information on the combination and enhanced collaboration between Public Works and the Office of Development and Planning Services. It includes marked up job descriptions for your review as well as plans per position. I will share Director Reiner put an immense amount of thought and strategy into the plan, and of course, we've also reviewed it as well. I'm supportive of it. I do feel that it aligns with principles that we discuss internally. And for me in particular, some of those, we think about culture add versus culture fit, in the sense of someone coming to the table with new ideas to complement what's already in place. It also fits with and supports leadership development that we strive for with enhanced staffing and support. The departments already work together closely, and infrastructure and development aligns well, so this enables efficiencies as well as continuous improvement. And it demonstrates what we do ask leaders to do. Looking at a vacancy, seeing what the need is, and the best placement for positions, similar to the refinement we did last month with the Superintendent of Water Pollution. And I will turn it over to John for a quick summary.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, John. Thanks, Arnisha. So I'll briefly go through the memo that we had outlined in front of you, and then happy to answer any questions. Again, this is something actually not really that new. A number of years ago, before Greg Hanover took over, John Burt and I had actually talked about this back then as well. So this was not something that was a new idea for us, but something that we had kind of kicked around about 6 or 7 years past. In the time that I've been in this role, again, working with John, Arnisha, and the teams over at Public Works on both sides, pretty quickly it became apparent that there were some needs within the division as well, and not just because some of the kind of boots on the ground vacancies that we have within the staff, but also there's a lot of projects going on and a lot of capital projects that we've planned for in the near future and in the next few years that I think one of the things that probably put our previous director at a little bit of a disadvantage was some of the lack of engineering needs that we had. So he spent a lot of his time on engineering and wasn't able to focus as much on kind of some of the big picture things. He certainly did, but there was also a great need for engineering. So as part of this proposal, that's why you see that I'm also proposing 2 additional engineering type roles, one an engineer and one an inspector role, because there is a drastic need not only today for just kind of catching up with our backlog, but also the number of projects that are coming in over the short and medium term. As a matter of fact, this past week, we received the building permit application for the Fairview development. It's an $80 million project. The building permit fee alone was $1.255 million. That's something that our engineering team inspections are going to have to be out in doing some work on that. So And we expect another project like that sometime in the next 6 months, in addition to all the CIPs and wastewater improvements that we're going to be doing over the next coming years. So kind of to go through the memo very quickly, looking at our Department of Public Works, and as much as I've been really enjoying and loving this job, one of the difficult things is the lack of bandwidth. And as it's not only, merging the departments, but it's also looking at having the right amount of management and leadership assistance for some of these roles. So as you can see, as part of this, there's the proposal to have 2 deputy director roles, one within the Office of Public Works. That would be a newer position, as well as splitting our current assistant director role for OPDS into a deputy director and to a planning manager. That would allow me to hand some things off so that I don't have to work every night and weekend, and allow us to continue to move forward with some of the administrative tasks, leadership, budgeting, succession planning, et cetera. So that deputy director of public works position, that new civil engineer position I talked about a little bit, and then that engineering technician position would really help us catch up and stay ahead of what we have currently and our backlog of projects. Splitting that current assistant director of planning and development services position into a deputy director and a planning manager. Again, you've been hearing about the number of projects that have been happening in planning and development, but also allowing me to hand off some of the duties that I do today as planning director off to that new role. One of the other, and obviously as part of all of this, is creating this new leadership position as the director of planning, development, and public works. We wanted to make it clear and concise what the department is doing. We were thinking of maybe some catchphrasey type of new department like OPDS, but I think it's clear and concise, planning, development, and public works. People are going to know where to go. Also, as part of that, one of the things we wanted to be cognizant of is we hear a lot about the tax burden for people in the town, and looking at our wastewater division, there's a lot of work right now that many staff across Public Works do to support our wastewater department, and we're actually not charging that cost center appropriately. So through some strategic use of our wastewater budget, this is going to be a cost neutral to the general fund. We look at our wastewater fee per month going up about $1.50, which is a pretty nominal fee for this. We have some of the lowest fees in the region. We actually kind of looked at our fees, and I think that's a good way of approaching that so that we can start funding some of these positions properly. It takes a little bit of the burden off the general fund. And I think, lastly, just kind of bringing all this together, there are those job description changes within your packet that myself, Arnisha, and the town manager all worked on together. Some of them, some minor changes, a couple others a little bit more substantial in there. We left them in track changes so you could see what they were. The new position of Director for Planning and Public Works, I combined, or I included in the packet, both the Director of Public Works and the Director of Planning job descriptions so you could kind of see and compare.
And I will jump back in. There will be one follow-up part where you mentioned, or you'll see on number 5, we periodically come before you to review the wage scales for non-union in general. So we're going to roll into that a review of these positions because there are some new ones, there's some management moves to make sure that everything is appropriately classified among one another. So that will be coming back to you in the near future, and I'll partner on that with our leadership here.
And then just to kind of wrap it up, you've seen how I've operated planning and development services over the past almost 12 years. We have a track record for getting grants, getting out there, learning what the community wants, responding well to the community, and working with our employees as well. I've been out in a number of the snowstorms, been out in meeting the folks in facilities and our roads and streets crew down at the wastewater plant, trying to understand what their needs are as well so that we're operating, a safe and effective department at all levels, as well as making sure that we're addressing what their needs are. Again, safety perspective and kind of understanding the boots on the ground role that many of them have. happy to answer any questions.
John, I believe you've gone to the WPCA, the Water Pollution Control Authority, to discuss some of this, the budget, is that correct?
Yeah, we did talk to them about some changes structurally for budget. We didn't talk to them specifically about combining the departments. We wanted to get the feel from the council first on that. But they did know that there'd be some modest rate increases coming this year that we're going to be looking at addressing some shifting in staff and a little bit of an increase in staff specifically on engineering because of the number of WPCA-related projects that we want to make sure that they're able to focus their time on wastewater projects so that the rest of our engineering staff can focus on other CIPs and other town-driven projects.
Questions? Council McBride?
Thank you. Couple questions and comments. First off, I'm a big supporter of, sharing resources, becoming more cost-effective. I think, I don't want to say there's a lot of waste, but I think in organizations now with the automation and EDI and AI and all this, there should be more sharing of resources. So I commend your efforts at doing that, because I think, especially in management above level, I think it's a good idea to do that for cost savings. I do have a couple questions, though. Did you say page 33, the grade levels and so forth? I see the proposal, but you don't have a grade level for this new position, the Director of Planning, Development, and Public Works.
That's correct. That's one of the items we'll be looking at.
Okay, but I do see a minimum salary range of 185. Is that,
That is current, and yes, that's a proposal to move forward with that. And that takes into account not only the existing role that Director Reiner has, but looking broadly at what some public works directors do command throughout the state, and remembering this is a combining of resources and leadership responsibility.
right? No, I'm not disagreeing. I just want to make sure I understand. It's 185 because the Chief of Police is around there, isn't he?
That's correct, and in a similar range.
A little higher than that or under?
Similar range, yeah.
Similar, okay.
Very similar.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. A couple other questions, because it's a lot to digest, a lot of big changes you're making. Is it 5 new FTEs? And when I say 5, I'm thinking 2 deputy directors, planning manager, civil engineer, engineer tech, and the,
No,
I
so
guess-
from the planning development side, it would be 1 new FTE, because the deputy director position already kind of exists. There's
Okay.
the assistant director, so that role will get split into 2. So there would be 1 new position there.
in planning as the planning manager.
Correct.
Okay,
On the public works side, there would be 3 new positions, but also the elimination of 1.
okay, so net 2.
So a total of net 3 new positions there.
So the big question, you said cost neutral. Are we, the 13 positions that you're not filling currently or that are haven't been able to fill, where are we getting the savings for the 3? Is the 13 open becoming 10 or I guess 8 or 9?
It's the tapping into the appropriate usage of the wastewater fund, wastewater treatment fund.
So how much are we?
We're not charging what we should be charging.
All right, so what's that extra charge we're going to,
So that would be that about $1.50
I'm sorry.
increase.
In total, is it allocating 150 to them? What's
So
the number we're going to charge the wastewater?
So the total number would be, I think it was about $310,000, $317,000, right around there.
Okay, so
And that not only looks into these positions, but it's also charging the balance of some, that would be the overall increase to the wastewater fund. But it's also allocating portions of other staff positions to wastewater that currently are serving wastewater that we're not charging for.
okay, my concern was I didn't know if this net 3 was going to offset open positions, but it's not. The open positions are still going to be filled. That's not being decreased in Public Works.
Correct.
It's just these become 3 new positions that are going to be funded by, in effect, wastewater.
Yes.
Okay.
And those vacant positions, we have a few offer letters out, and we're trying to fill those positions, and most of those are all like boots on the ground types of positions. Our maintainers, our heavy equipment operators, our operators down at the wastewater treatment plant. One of them is our superintendent of wastewater.
No, I understand. It's difficult, especially in
Yes.
Public Works. It's brutal to get people. I understand that completely. Just a question on the engineers, because now we're posting 2. Didn't we have an issue, we can't fill engineers past 3 or 4 years?
We were eventually able to, but yes,
You
so
were.
we looked at different resources to make that happen, and we've already discussed, we'll be looking at everything on the table to source.
Okay, so I imagine their pay is going to be, okay, you answered my bigger question. I didn't know where the funds were coming from, and you answered it, so thank you.
And part of what I think made us take a bigger step back and look at this as well is the fact that there's a lot of these types of positions that are very difficult to fill now. There's many municipalities around us that don't have public works directors that have been vacant for a year or more. The same goes with town engineers. You've heard me talk about building inspectors and planners and planning directors. A lot of these technical roles are very difficult to fill, we're now losing many of our other kind of boots on the ground type of positions, either to some people retiring or moving on to other places. And, one of the things that we've really been talking and trying to, as part of this, is looking at our succession planning, because in addition to the problems that we have now filling staff, there's also a number of people that are retirement eligible that we know we're going to lose over the next few years. And that's something I've put a lot of time and effort into on the OPDS side of things, to make sure we're constantly doing good succession planning, to make sure if someone leaves, whether a retirement, a different job, or whatever the circumstance, that we have capacity to start moving people internally up if necessary.
Okay, no, that's all helpful. Follow-up question, the $5 increase, what does that translate to a homeowner? Do we know that number?
So about $1.50, so that'd be about $18 a year.
Okay, no, I appreciate you looking at modifying things to do things differently, because I think if you can share resources, it's better. You have less health insurance because you have one person instead of 2. It's a lot of savings. So as long as what you're saying is accurate, that they need to be charged that extra money because they're performing services for them, which is, I rely on your expertise for that. I would be in support of it, so thank you.
I should add that the pay plan had been also submitted to the finance director for review to make sure there were no concerns with how it was divvied up, so.
Any other hands? Council Good?
Yes, thank you. Real quick, I appreciate the questions from Councilor McBride. I just want to extend my support for it ahead of time. I've read through it. I've been watching meetings for the last 17 years, and I know what you have been doing, so I fully support it. I see this as a simple and elegant solution to something that I could only see a haze when Director Hanover left, and I really appreciate you guys going through the work and coming up with this kind of solution, so thank you.
It was definitely beneficial. The two departments are right next to each other. John and Greg always work together on many projects. People come to the same counter for help for both departments, so they've already been, very much intertwined.
Thank you.
Any other hands? Council Bordelon?
Thank you. Some of those comments were already made about the efficiency side of things, so I appreciate that. From a practicality side, or just from a precedent side, do you see other communities that have combined like this? And if so,
Yeah.
That's my first question.
Yeah, so there are some other communities out west, larger municipalities that would have this type of combination that we've looked to. And even, one of the things I try to remind people of is, although I think for, maybe 2 decades or more, my current department, Planning and Development Services, has been a combined department. Everywhere I've ever worked prior to that, planning is its own department, economic development is its own department, sustainability is its own department, building is its own. So, I think Groton had the foresight 20-plus years ago to say, let's combine all of these so it's under one level of leadership, so that our planning, our economic development, our sustainability, which is, newer, our building, is within one realm and one level of leadership, so we're constantly rowing that boat in the same direction. And then working with Public Works, there's a lot of things that we do, from engineering review, utilities, and what happens to that development once it gets built, that having one level of leadership and a consistent direction for the whole team is definitely very beneficial and helpful, and helps just streamline the message.
Thank you. Do any of our neighboring towns have this structure?
Not that I'm aware of.
No. Yeah, that's what I couldn't find. I was just kind of like, looking around at the different structures. I mean, like with everything, there's some pros. What would be some of the cons that you would say from this?
Well, I think the worst case scenario is if we didn't combine and John was acting director without the resources available to do a good job of it. So I think that's really the only issue is if we didn't do something.
Yeah, I think kind of the follow-up on that, the level that myself and some of the other folks that have stepped up during this time are working at an unsustainable pace. And this is not a good thing for any of us mentally, physically. And that's really the con side of it, as well as if we look around at other municipalities surrounding us, you can see the number of vacancies that they have in some of these key leadership positions.
And I think it's also important to know, I see a wide variety of different configurations of departments. For other things, for instance, Dorrington has human services and Parks and Rec together. I see every kind of configuration across different towns, so it's, you see everything under the sun. And I think it's of note too that the size would be, the combined size would not be larger than a police department, it'd be a similar size, a few less.
Okay, so the total, like where we're staffed now, if we were fully staffed, and we going with this model, what's the exact number of the increase versus or decrease?
I'm sorry, so the total.
Number of positions?
Yeah, the total combined departments under this scenario would be, I think it was about 83 FTEs.
Plus 3, so 66.
84.
I think so. 18,
So 83. Yeah.
83.
Yeah, 83, 84, yeah.
So like budgeted with the old model versus the new model, what are the numbers changed to?
So I see that the packet lists that it was 63, and I believe there was a net 3.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Oh, so there's currently 63 FTEs in Public Works, and there's 18 FTEs in OPDS.
So plus 1 in OPDS.
Yes,
And then for Public Works, it is.
plus 2,
With a net,
yeah,
yeah. So the 3, okay.
yeah.
So I think
Yeah, so
it is-
currently budgeted 63 in Public Works, currently budgeted 18 in OPDS. And then with this, there would be a net of 3 new employees.
So the 63 plus the 18 plus 3 more?
Correct.
And what is that as far as how much we're going up on our budget?
So for a total number,
Yeah,
oh, that was approximately $317,000, and that was going to be funded through our wastewater division.
So no general fund to increase?
Yes.
okay. All right. And if we weren't using this increased money for wastewater for this, where would that money be going?
We wouldn't be raising our wastewater fees.
So with the increase to wastewater fees is how you're supporting this?
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you for explaining.
Oh, you're welcome.
Council Barton, all set? Any first timers before I go to second turns? Well, actually, I'll take a quick turn. Thank you. I know it's been rough going because it's hard to find public work directors right now. And I believe it's like 3 or 4 towns we're all competing for the same position. You guys came up with a good plan, you combined, you guys work well together. I've heard wonderful things. Thank you. I know it's a lot on your plate right now, but thank you. And I'm happy with what you came up with, and it's not going to hurt the general fund. You found a way of funding it, a different funding stream. So I'm for it, and I'm going to go on to Councilor McBride now.
Yeah, I just had one quick comment. I appreciate also having 2 deputy directors, because I think it's important as a backup plan. If you were to move on into another role somewhere else, those 2 positions would be ready and able to step up. So I commend you on making that effort as well. So thank you.
I was more thinking either if I won the lottery, which I don't play the lottery, or had a really bad wipeout surfing and got wiped out, then you'd at least have the next people to come in.
Yeah.
So.
You'll be too busy to surf.
Yes, I know.
Okay. Now moving to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes 7-0 to 0. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Oh, yes, you're still, okay. Director
these are all
Reiner's
right.
still here for this one, too.
I got 6 more for you, sorry.
Yes, you do. There's no motion for this in advance, so it's 2026-213, the CIF application for the athletic fields master plan, and I'm going to let you discuss that, if you don't mind. Mr.
Sure.
Reiner. Thank you.
So there's
Director Reiner, sorry.
3 different agenda items for the CIF grant, and we'll talk about each one of them individually because they're 3 different projects, but we've talked to you before about the Community Investment Fund. We can apply for, there's 2 types of grants for that. An actual like infrastructure type one where you're building something, or one where you're doing more planning and design. It was brought up to us of, looking at the Athletic Fields Task Force Master Plan implementation as a possible grant for this, and, to get a little bit of direction from the council. Kind of my only caveat with this is generally the state is looking for projects that are transformational in nature, but also ones that they're not looking to just have us reimburse ourselves, and they're also looking for shovel-ready projects. So although we are in the phases of selecting a consultant to do the design work for us for this project, we're not in that design, in that shovel-ready phase quite yet. So happy to take any feedback from the council, but I think this one is not quite ready for prime time for the CIF, but wanted to put it out there as an option. I think it was something that the council wanted to discuss a little bit. So not to damper down on the situation a little bit, but I also want to be realistic of things. We certainly could try, but again, the direction we've gotten from the state, we've tried to put some competitive projects forward so far and haven't received funding.
Discussion. Counselor Fitzgerald.
The aspect of kind of working within a plan that we've already allocated funding towards jumps out to me, that there is an additional detail to it on what's going to leapfrog this project beyond what we're currently working on. I think that there's a lot of approval for investment in athletic fields, and I think that this could, in the future, become a competitive project. But I tend to agree that there isn't something that's taking this to the next level beyond what we're currently doing.
Yeah.
And that'll end my turn. That'll end my turn.
Okay. Any others? Councilor McBride.
Yeah, I did look into this to consider it, but I don't think it's a proper use of CIF, because I did some research. I don't think it fosters economic development in historically underserved communities, and I don't think it fits some of the other parameters. So although I think I'm all for athletic fields, the master plan and moving forward with it, I don't think it's appropriate for the CIF, so I'm more leaning towards looking at the other 2 at this point.
Thank you. Any others? Council Bordelon?
Thank you. I guess I would like to talk a little more about, like, why do you feel it's not a good use? Like, I heard what you said before. Is it because you don't think we wouldn't get the funding, or, like,
Yeah,
what
so,
are the?
I think that you were just saying it's not ripe yet. I don't think you were making a judgment. I think that might be referring to Councilor McBride's comments.
Yeah, I mean, I actually spoke to some of our representatives about these matters, and I can't speak for them on their behalf, but it just seemed like it wouldn't be a good fit at the legislature. And I also heard from one representative that said the ask of the amount, I think it was 7.5 million, was much too large, and that it wouldn't be considered as well. So it's not just my own judgment. I did do some research and spoke to some others about this. But I truly get back to, I don't think it's economic development, and I don't think it's transformative. And the definition of the grant says economic development in historically underserved communities. So I don't consider it economic development. I consider it important and valuable and wonderful and something we should pursue, but not for the use of the CIF. What I believe, in my interpretation, is the CIF is supposed to be used for. So, but it's just my opinion.
Thank you, Council McBride. Council Bordelon?
Great. Yeah, but, so, I can support exactly what Councilman McBride, and that's why I wanted to bring this forward. How does that, exactly what Councilman McBride stated, which I think is pretty spot on, how does that fit the model of a seawall then?
I'm going to stop you right there. That's not up for discussion. It's not on our agenda. We're only sticking to the topic at hand about athletic fields. Thank you.
No, we're talking about what the grant's good for, the drivers, so.
Council
based on
Bordelon, that is not,
I heard you.
Thank you.
Still talking. Based on that model, what other projects have come before necessarily didn't fit the bill either, in my opinion. So that's where I'm confused. This is something that the whole community would use. So that's just my thought. And when I was looking at some of the other ones that were approved, it was a lot of community, like parks, resources, centers, like places that a community would come to and gather. And it could be an economic driver if done right. You would have, travel leagues. It's an attraction and can be used. So that's. So I actually think it's a better use than some of the ones that have been put before. But again, it's the choice of the council. I just wanted, and even the whole number may not be approved. We could, the number could be altered to be more desirable. But again, if it's not the will, it's not the will. And if it's not a good fit, at least we're having the discussion. Thank you.
any other discussion? Okay, I'm going to move, I'm going to get consensus from the group. Do you want to move this forward? Yes?
Yes.
You want to move the CIF forward?
Is that,
The question is, do we want him to try to get an approval process for it?
yeah, okay. I'm going to try to get what you're asking. You're asking.
I'm
are you
asking-
okay in it?
Correct.
Yeah, I said yes.
Okay?
For mine.
No more discussion. I move to consensus. Okay, noes?
No.
No. Abstentions? Council Bordelon, how did you?
I didn't want to interrupt. You were talking to the other person. I'm obviously for, I think we should try. I mean, I'm not saying as written, but we didn't have the full discussion, but I think there is a possibility for some support here for this.
All right, so we're not moving that forward. Consensus, 2 would like to move forward, 5 would not. So please take that one off the list. Okay. All right, the next item. Mr. Reiner, Director Reiner. There's no motion.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sure, I wasn't sure if you're going to read.
No, no,
a
I just
motion.
want, yeah. Go ahead. No,
Yeah.
you.
So the next item, which is a different agenda item. I wasn't sure
Oh,
if you need
I'm
to.
sorry.
to
It's
read that.
2026-215 CIF application for Groton Community Center. Sorry, go ahead, thank you.
So to discuss this project, so this is one that we're looking at from the planning type of grant, which is up to $250,000. And, you know, we've talked about the Groton Community Center. We've been trying to invest in that through our CIPs on a yearly basis when we can. In the upcoming budget, there's some things that you'll see that we've put in to make some improvements there. And, you know, one of the other items that we've talked about over time is how could that be, you know, maybe another shelter, a warming or a cooling shelter for us in the near future. And kind of some of the new terminology for sheltering is a resilience hub, somewhere where people could go to get cool, to warm up, also to charge, you know, any devices or things along those lines. So, you know, in this application, you'll see that we put in $250,000 so that we can actually do some of the design and engineering for the projects that we're proposing in this upcoming year's CIP, as well as do the CIF also asked that we do some community outreach and engagement around these types of projects, so putting in some budget for that as well. So this would be to do the improvements that we've been talking about for some time, including, you know, the ADA, building fire code improvements to the building, helping with some of the HVAC, and really increasing the capacity for that building and just doing a lot of that design and engineering work.
Discussion. Council Good.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'm in full support of the CIP for the Groton Community Center. It's a dusty jewel right now, in my opinion, not only for a resilient center, but even currently when we're talking about economic development. I'd just like to remind everybody that a lot of our Parks and Recs plans programs are happening in there, including karate has been there for a few years, and I just wanted to remind everybody that there is an international event that happens at the community center, the karate tournament, where people from all over the world. I think the last time I went, there were people from 5 different continents. There were NFL Hall of Fame people going there, groups from Spokane, Washington, Texas, Canada, groups of kids and adults to compete. All of them stayed in Groton in hotels and enjoyed the food in Mystic. So I think with some sort of growth and just repair in there, especially with the HVAC, we could really see that blossom. So that's a large driver for me, in my opinion, about this, going forward with this CIP. Thank you.
Council McBride.
Thank you. I'm in support of this as well. I think it fits the definition. The definition for everyone is planning for capital projects, including activities such as community engagement processes, development of project plans and construction budget, which fits the bill, in my opinion. I also know that the CIF funded a neighboring community for, I think it was $7 million of their community center. So it's been noted that these funds have been used for such purposes. So I think the shoe fits. I did have a question, though. I do know in part of the details, and I know from some other experiences, my understanding is part of the CIF, they consider leverage, non-state funds. So if we were to move forward with this, would you consider asking the council to put some money towards it? Because I think that makes a difference when they review the CIFs, if it's not just state-funded money. In other situations, they give 7, but they're spending 23. I know we're just doing the planning grant, but in the planning grant, would you be putting forth some of the details of how we would potentially match some of the money that we'd be requesting down the road, I guess?
Yeah, so these are due April 27th, and by that time, I'll have good direction from the council on the CIP that's in the budget. So that's something that we would indicate that in this year's, I don't want to put words in your mouth, we haven't gone through our budget yet, but if you approve the CIP for this project, we could speak to how even this year alone, we've allocated this much money. We'd also talk about the grant that we just got for the other HVAC system improvements and some other projects that we have some money allocated for the center right now. So I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Mr. Burt, did you want to say
I
something?
was going to talk about the CIP. We have in the budget $1,050,000 to get that first floor of the A-wing open, so we are, which also gets us the auditorium open for the public, so.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Council Fitzgerald.
Two things I want to mention. I just want to say that I do work for the agency that administers this grant, but I have no involvement or oversight over this program. And so I feel comfortable voting on this.
Thank you.
And with that, I do feel like this is a has the makings of competitive project given its location in town, proximity to as a walking destination, as well as an area to concentrate services for people to use. And also, I feel like regularly people are talking about both the future of that property as well as just the potential to open up community programming there. And so I feel like this is a good avenue to frame that future ask or to formulate a strategy of how to capture funds down the line. So I support this idea.
All set?
Yep.
Okay. Council Borderline?
Thanks. I definitely could support this as a project that could move forward. This was in its infancy when I started the RTM, I don't know, 7 years ago. We were identifying it, and it was, trying to figure out a plan. And then we tested the water and found there was lead in the water, and then that got fixed. I mean, we've been kind of moving the ball along, but it's been it's no disrespect, it's funding and appropriations. Who was on the council way before I was, and who decided to move monies into areas that they felt were pertinent or important at the time, or funding that was even available. I do think that the Groton deserves a community center. I'm not sure with this type of thing, would it be as robust as say like New London's, there's no pool, there's a lot of other amenities aren't there. But I think if we're moving it forward and calling it a community center, we just really need to make sure we're identifying the usage of it. And I know over time we've been filling it with a lot of other departments in there. And so if it's really going to be a community center, we need to make sure that the improvements and the usage of that area is truly a community center in its definition. So that's just my first question.
The bulk of the building is community center. We don't have much in there currently outside of voter registration. Parks and Rec would be consolidated in this first CIP. We're planning from Spicer House down to here to allow more robust activities to be planned there. Really, the only other thing we have planned is getting some IT equipment out of, a flood-prone area, and probate court needs a safer space, and that is really just limited on the end of the second floor, furthest away from, or close to the street. So the vast bulk of it would be community center.
Okay. Didn't the police department also have a space they're using in there as well?
They do a little bit of training there. We're talking about, there probably won't be space for them. So we're talking about other options. They just do a little bit of training in there. It's nothing permanent. It's
no
nothing,
problem.
we haven't
I just-
invested money in it, so.
Yeah, I just want to, I think the community wants a community center so that the building's being used for the rooms and rec center is in its robust, nature, a true community center is all. So I just, if we get approved, which I hope we do, that we're using it in its full capacity. And if there's places to move everybody elsewhere, I know we've been kind of shifting everything around, but we deserve a community center here and we should have one. And I think this is a great option. Thank you.
Council Pacino?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Talking with a couple of the representatives, they thought that we might be able to add on the athletic field next to the building to this, maybe not this CIF, but maybe in the next one. Is that something that is going through the gears in your head? Or no?
So, I mean, I think as we go through the design of this, we're going to continue to get feedback from the council. I think that there'll be one more CIF round after this one. So we'll kind of see where we are, what's ripe and what's ready at that point in time. I do know that our facilities and kind of Parks crew have been talking with Parks and Rec to do some improvements there. I know that in-house, we did some improvements to the field there a couple of years back, and I think there's some others that we'll be doing, low-cost things in-house, but long-term, it's something we certainly could look at.
All right, and thank you. And the other thing you mentioned something about someplace to charge your devices at. Is there a generator in the building?
No, not currently. Or you know what? I think
There might
I
be.
can't say for sure. There might be. I can't say definitively.
Maybe with the IT
I
stuff.
don't, because there's when we did the tour, there was that, wasn't that a generator outside by
There
the
was a
accessible
generator.
access?
Yeah.
And I think they said it still works, right?
I believe
I believe
so.
there is a generator there.
Well, I got you guys off guard.
Oh,
That's not bad. All right, that's, I'm all for this.
and the Groton Community Center field plan is actually already being developed.
Sweet,
I just gotta,
outstanding. All right, then, I am 100% for this, and I'm very glad that we're looking at the ball field and that we have a generator. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Of course, we'll want to look at the capacity, make sure that's, sufficient for wherever the needs are. Or at least we have something.
So, me, thank you.
Yeah, and the
So-
funding's in place for that field already. So,
So I want to thank you guys for bringing this forward because since 2017, I've been on since we were talking about this. There was different variations of it, and then we couldn't do anything, and I'm glad we're able to start looking at this again. So in talking with our representatives and the governor, it sounded like that this could be a potential thing to be funded by CIF because of it being for the community and an economic driver. And I can't wait to see what happens, so I'm very happy about this. And on that note, I'm going to make a motion.
My hand is up.
I started to make the motion before your hand went up. A motion to approve the submission of a CIF application for a planning grant for the planning, architectural, and engineering design and permitting phases for infrastructure improvements at the Groton Community Center in the amount of $250,000.
Second.
Motion made by Parker and seconded by Good. And since I made a motion, we can now discuss, and Council Bordelon, I'll do that as your first thing after the motion.
Sure. My question is, are we going to be looking later, like if we were approved this, at different environmental drivers that we can use that are sustainable when looking at my thing is this, if we're going to re-update a building, we should be looking at like what the best standard is now and like options to make it run efficiently. So are those things that will be considered when you're proposing this, that you're going to be using some sustainable or environmentally sustainable options when making these infrastructure changes? Would that help the grant possibly?
we can look at those through the design of things. So, I know some of the HVAC improvements that we're looking at are more like mini splits and heat pumps, which are much more environmentally sustainable than, kind of our usual oil burning furnaces. So those are things we can certainly look at. But again, those cost, we save money in the long term because of the efficiency of it, but they also cost a lot more money up front. So I think as we look at the design of this, those are things that we can weigh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's vital, if we're trying to bring buildings in, to last another 20, 30, 40, 50 years, we should be moving in the direction of what is the the golden rule. Also, this building, like a lot of usually community centers, it becomes just like the senior center, another safe haven, or could be used as another shelter should it need to be, because it's centrally located. So there's the possibility for that. So looking at this from a larger scale is pretty important. That's one of my thoughts. Thank you.
Also, so the generator on site, there's a small generator in the basement that works, but it only powers the internal emergency lighting. So I think the one in the back might not be fully functioning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But we'll definitely, want to be looking at a generator as part of this.
Yeah.
Any further discussion after the motion? Okay, I'm closing that. And all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, that's 7-0. And now we're moving on to 2026-214 CIF application, Sutton Park Master Plan.
Okay, so another project that we've been talking about for some period of time. So when we think about the CIF projects, the state's looking for projects that are transformative for a neighborhood, especially in environmental justice type communities and neighborhoods surrounding, similar to Sutton Park, and shovel-ready projects that are ready to go. This falls into a number of those categories. So we've been talking about improvements to Sutton Park at the skate park and the larger park for some time. Council knows we've gone out to bid a couple of times, and the numbers on those were much higher than we had anticipated. We had to cut a number of those items out of the budget. We recently rebid it again. There's still some cuts that we might have to do for that. So we'd like to, in order to still move forward with a portion of the project, but in order to fund the complete project that we were talking about initially, before we started cutting things out, if we applied for a CIF grant for approximately $2.5 million, we'd be able to get all of those items back in.
And just here, so we just received the bids. I believe there's enough funding available, and we need to move forward with some project now, because we have ARPA dollars in play that will go away at the end of the year. So we would do the skate park. We're gonna come back to you about the bowl. We would like to get funding for the bowl, but we have enough money to do the skate park without the bowl. The restrooms that we already had state dollars allocated to. What else? The trails are a separate project.
Yeah.
But to add the bowl in, I think it's, would you say it's about 500,000 range, a little under?
Yeah, so.
About 750 if we added like basketball court and some of that stuff in. So our intent is to bring that back to you for further discussion as part of the budget process. We'll add that CIP in.
We currently have about $3.174 million for this project, and the bids came in much higher than that. And as the manager said, if we wanted to do just the things that we talked about doing last time, still reducing some of those, we'd need about another $750,000. With this CIF could let us put it all back on the table and do the project really as we had envisioned from kind of day one.
And if we do fund the bowl or anything else, if we receive this money, then we wouldn't have to spend the money we allocate for that portion.
But right now, we're just talking about moving forward with the CIF. We'll come back and talk about the rest of
Right.
the project.
This gets us everything we wanted with this, if we receive this.
Questions? Council Pacino?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You just mentioned how much we had allocated right now.
Restarted.
How much was that?
About $3.174 million.
So we would be paying the bulk of it. And that would, I would imagine, look better.
Yeah, we're putting heavy investment into that location.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's, yeah, I'm 100% for this.
Okay.
Council McBride?
I'm in support as well. I think it fits the definition as per the grant, so thanks for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
Any other hands? Council Bordelon?
Thank you. I agree that this also are definitely much better CIFs that were presented before, in my opinion. I think this does fit the definition. Is there a reason that we didn't put these up before?
Well, we had allocated enough money, and there were some other priorities from the council that we were not expecting the bids to come in as high as they were. It's getting hard to keep up with the pace of inflation.
And, yeah, and this is one of our few shovel-ready projects right now.
Yeah, I just think that these make sense, and I think that, we should move forward. Thank you.
Councilor Fitzgerald.
One part of the project that really jumps out to me is the multi-use path component of it, and what just comes to mind is how centrally located this project is between the schools, between several neighborhoods, and at the same time along Route 1, and just the capability to get people not just drive there, but bringing different neighborhoods together really jumps out to me, as well as just kind of catalyzing from there, like the neighborhoods beyond those that have more access and have more exposure to the park and this major asset that we've already, in the long term, been putting money into. I think, on one hand, while the bids are coming in higher than expected, that's evidence of how serious the town council is about investing in this property and over the last at least 6 years. And so I think there's a lot of potential with this project, both to improve the park as it is, but also just to maximize it as a community asset.
And am I correct that, so we're going to sign something for some sort of base project soon? We need to get something locked in. And then as other funding is known, we just trigger some of those other pieces, components, so we don't have to go back out to bid for this. Is that correct?
The only piece that we might have to, for the CIF portion, we'll just have to check with the state. Because we properly bid it, I don't think we'll have to, but I can't 100% guarantee that. They might make us have to go back out to bid for that portion that gets the CIF funding. But again, we'd have, a contractor on board, project would be underway. I think, we would get very competitive bids if it came to that. But at least for the pieces we're talking about, no.
Also,
Any other first-timers? Council Good.
I just wanted to remind everybody that skate park is nationally renowned as one of the best skate parks in the country. Repeatedly, we've had world-class skaters go there and review it, and for our side of the country, it's premier. So
Okay.
that's all. Thank you. The bowl.
Okay. So I'll make a motion then. I'll make a motion to approve the submission of a CIF application for a capital grant to assist in the implementation of the Sutton Park Master Plan improvements for up to $2.5 million. So moved.
Second, Pacino.
Motion made by Parker and seconded by Pacino. All in favor?
Aye.
Council Bordelon?
I said aye.
That's 7-0. Okay. Next is the fair housing policy. I believe that has a motion. Whose turn is it? Kevin, Council Fitzgerald, did you read one? You did.
yes,
You
it is,
did. Council Pacino.
Council Pacino. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 2026-211, Fair Housing Policy. Motion to recommend a resolution to affirm the town's policy of promoting and assuring equal housing opportunity through the approval of Fair Housing Plan resolution and authorizes the town manager or his designated representative to respond and assist any person who alleges to be the victim of an illegal discriminatory housing practice in the town of Groton through the designated state, federal, or local programs providing assistance in the legal services and fair housing standard. I so move.
Second?
Motion made by Pacino, seconded by Bordelon. Mr. Reiner.
Okay, thank you. So we come back to you every year to affirm our fair housing policy. This is something that we adopted about 2 years ago. And again, not only are we required to do this to be eligible for Connecticut Community Development Block Grant funds, but I think it's an important step in who we are as a community, showing, just the policies that we follow when it comes to supporting fair housing.
Any questions? Counsel, good.
Yes, I just want to add, as a real estate professional, truly appreciate Groton's commitment to fair housing. And that's it. Thanks.
Any other hands? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Counsel Boylan, was that an aye?
Yeah.
All right, 7-0. Okay. Counsel Burrell, can you do the next one, 2026-212?
Yeah, let's see.
Oh, actually, this has no motion. I'm sorry. I think this is informal memo.
This one, actually, we forgot to include the motion for this, but I think the motion will be dependent on what the council wants to do.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to explain everything for us.
Yes,
Thank you.
sure. So I also need to just open up a PowerPoint presentation on there. Just want to give a quick overview of the town council's role when it comes to the town's plan of conservation and development. So I just want to go over that with everybody on the council, what our plan of conservation and development is, Groton 2035, as well as what your role statutorily in that is.
Yeah. This one right here? Or is that for later?
Yeah. Yeah, that one right there.
Let me pull it up in Zoom. Where is it? Oops. Where is the actual picture? Oh, right there. Okay. Right there.
And as many of you know, with our plan of conservation development, this is something that we've been working on for about 18 months now, and we're getting right towards the end phase where we've sent the referrals out. You've received a referral in your packet. The document itself is quite lengthy, as well as the appendices that go along with it, as well as kind of the baseline report that gives a lot of really good background information. So we didn't give you paper copies. We certainly can supply those if people need them, but we did give you a digital link to it. So, what is a POCD? It's not meant to get into the nitty-gritty on everything. It's that kind of 10 to 30,000 foot view of our town and where we want to go. It looks at development, where and how it happens, environment in our history, where we want to invest money, thinking about our parks, our infrastructure, equity through the process and the things we do in town, as well as supporting local businesses. And why should we update our POCD? Well, one, we're required to by state law every 10 years. It also looks at us preparing for the future. We want to be ready for what happens and comes in front of us, making sure we're spending our tax dollars efficiently, making Groton a better place over and for future generations, making sure our policies and regulations are in line with what our thought processes are now and in the future, as well as having these things addressed in our POCD really makes us eligible for a lot of grants and other funding. Oh, sorry, thanks, John. So what goes into the making of a POCD? So we look at a lot of the existing plans, policies, documents, studies that we've done. And as you know, we've been talking to you all the time. We're here almost every month for the last 10 years, talking to you about all the different initiatives we're working on, whether it's climate action, whether it's housing, whether it's tax increment financing, economic policy, and everything in between, environmental protection, the things that we work with Parks and Recreation and other departments and agencies in the state and within the region. All of that goes into our POCD. We do a lot of facts and data. We all, pulling all those reports and studies in. We also we've done a lot of outreach to our residents, the neighbors. We've been trying to get to where people are. And, I know we've invited a number of you to some of the different focus groups meetings we've had, larger public meetings, small meetings, our community conversations, a lot of the stuff we're doing on social media now. It's all to try to get more feedback from the community and make sure they know what's happening for our town now and in the future. And what does the POCD really cover? Our community services, housing, transportation, future growth, natural resources, historic, economic development, parks and open spaces, sustainability and climate change, and more. And we have to figure out how we weave all these things together for the best future for Groton. I think many of you have heard me talk before, not only our plan of conservation and development, our zoning regulations. These are living and breathing documents. They change with the times, as our community changes, as our preferences change, as the economy changes. We have to adjust these things. We're constantly looking at these policy documents like the POCD and our zoning regulations to respond to where we are now and in the future. What do we want to look like when our vision for Groton is achieved? One of the things that I often challenge people with is many people know everything they don't want. It's really hard for people to truly put their finger on what it is they do want. And that's something that we all have to think about. What do we want Groton to look like in the future? Now, 5, 10, and 20 years out. How do we go about reaching those goals? That's where our policies and our objectives really come in. And our actions are the specific steps for how we're going to get there. We're going to budget this much money to accomplish this particular thing. So tonight I want to talk to you about your role in the plan of conservation and development. And as we think about your role, we want to make sure that if there's something that you're concerned about that you've heard from your constituents that you want to comment on the POCD, you have the ability to do that. So there's kind of a couple of items that you can kind of really zero in on. So from reviewing the plan, the most important page in that entire document is our future land use map. That's not something that we have to do. It's something that it's a map showing where we want things to happen potentially in the future. It doesn't mean, again, that we have to do it. It means upon further study, further analysis, it's changes we could make. So that's a really important piece, as well as our implementation matrix. Who's going to do the things and how we're going to get there? Those are a couple of really key points to kind of focus in on when it comes to the plan of conservation and development. The council may hold a public hearing if you want to. One of the things that I would really encourage you to think about if you want to hold a public hearing is for what purpose? And because our Planning and Zoning Commission is also going to hold a public hearing, and we've been doing a lot of outreach and engagement, reaching out to focus groups. And we want to make sure, one of the concerns that we keep bringing up with our Planning and Zoning Commission is we've literally reached out to hundreds of people, surveys and all these other things through this entire process. But at the last minute, if 5 people show up in a meeting and they make their voices heard, those 5 people's thoughts shouldn't overrule everything that we've been doing for 18 months, hearing from a much bigger portion of the community. There are things that you certainly want to weigh. It's up to you, to our Planning and Zoning Commission, to hear from all residents of the community, think about the needs based upon the data, the studies, what and where Groton is going over the future, but not just listening to one small group about a specific need, want, or concern for the town. So just kind of weighing that a little bit if you want to hold a public hearing. The town council does have to endorse the plan, reject portions of the plan. There are certain, that's something you can weigh in on. And depending on what you do, The Planning and Zoning Commission can make a decision without your endorsement or any action from you, but if you raised concerns with the plan and rejected portions of the plan, it would actually take a higher amount of commission members voting in favor of it to pass the plan. The Planning and Zoning Commission's public hearing is scheduled for May 14th. So if you wanted to schedule a public hearing for this matter before the Planning and Zoning Commission's public hearing, you would need to act on that tonight, approving it to your town council meeting in April so that you could have a public hearing at your May meeting, unless you had a special meeting sometime in April for that particular public hearing. And then a CAL meeting after that May hearing, you would need to make some type of formal vote or discussion on it. Again, because of the tight time frame with some of these things, if the council wanted to schedule a public hearing, we could get that ball rolling. And if you also wanted to have a little bit more of a deep dive presentation or discussion prior to the public hearing, that's something that staff would be happy to do. I know you're limited on, you get a lot of meetings coming up with the budget, so we want to be, cognizant of your time as well, but we could do something a little bit more formal prior to that public hearing and have some dialogue with you. So, that's kind of where we are with this right now. Happy to get any feedback, but if you wanted to schedule a public hearing, we'd want to set that public hearing date tonight in the CAL.
Discussion, thoughts? Council Fitzgerald.
I would have to say I'm in favor of having a town council public hearing as well. I recognize that additional people may show up and their views may be diametrically opposed to my own, but as residents, I still want to make sure that they have the opportunity to weigh in on a 10-year plan. And so I would be in favor of having an additional public hearing, as well as the exercise of doing a deep dive on it. And that's all.
Anybody? Council McBride.
Yeah, I'm in support of Councilor Fitzgerald's thoughts as well. I think a public hearing would be worth it. I would encourage maybe even the May 5th council meeting, before the council meeting, because that's what we've done in the past in terms of having public hearings. That would seem to make sense to me.
Council Bordelon.
Thank you. Definitely been following this closely and agree there's, a lot at stake and, definitely is there a lot to review and, but I do feel that, democracy is, allowing public to come forward in all venues and all times because what might not work for a planning and zoning date may work for a council night, vice versa. So I think it just really hones in on that availability component for the consumer, meaning our residents, to be able to access. So I do think it's vital. If 2 show up, it's great. If 20 show up, great, but at least we open up the platform. So I think that would be a great opportunity. My question is how will this be advertised?
So we would do the normal advertising that we would do for a town council public hearing, but we would also share it on our social medias, like we've been doing, which I hope all of you are sharing. Our Instagram, Groton, Explore More Groton. And I think it's at Groton Economic Development for our Facebook page, but, doing that, we also have email lists that we send people out to folks that have attended all of the meetings for the POCD as well as for our Missing Middle Housing Project as well. We've been really trying to go above and beyond getting the word out for the meetings that we're doing.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it would be important to have that and any form of discussion after or whatever is fine. But I think it would be a great opportunity for our community. Thank you.
Do you have a resolution? Motion?
A motion to schedule a public hearing for May what?
May 5th,
May 5th.
2026.
Just a question.
Did you, okay.
What day of the week is May 5th?
Tuesday.
Regular council meeting
May
Tuesday.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Tuesday.
And then it doesn't need to be part of the motion, but I think the consensus appears to be to have a deep dive prior to that.
deep dive.
Yeah.
So you still need a motion?
Just for setting the public hearing for May
Okay.
5th.
I mentioned the date, I'll make the motion to set a public hearing for May 5th at 5:30.
Second,
Oh,
Pacino.
well, don't you want to just do it at the normal
Oh, whatever you recommend, whatever.
council meeting time? Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
May 5th, motion to set a public hearing. Motion made by Counselor McBride and seconded by Counselor Pacino. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, all right. That's 7-0. Okay. We will be setting a public hearing on May 5th. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Eric's on his way. Do we maybe?
Recess?
Eric- Yeah, let's quick recess. The attorney's on his way.
Okay. I'm going to recess. What time is it? It is 8:17. And we'll be back in 10 minutes, 15?
Attention. Fine.
He's on his way. It'll only be a few minutes, so yeah. 10 minutes, we'll call it 10 minutes. And
We'll be back at 8:27, so we're now at recess. All right, we are back from recess at 8:27, and we have our last agenda item for the evening, which is 2025-293-5, Groton Heights Final Project Concept / Development Team dash draft terms. I have to read what I wrote. Do you want to discuss first, and then?
Just for a minute or two
Yes, sir.
prior to going to executive session, so just a reminder, at the town council meeting next week, there'll actually be a public, 2 weeks from now, get my weeks mixed up. There'll be a public hearing on Groton Heights, but tonight we just wanted to go into executive session, talk to you a little bit about kind of the terms of how the things that we got from the process from now, to make sure we're on the same page with you, just to kind of keep the ball rolling. But again, looking forward to any public comments at the hearing out at the next regular council meeting. And, you know, I'm not going to do one of the presentations we normally do on this, but everything is up on greatergroton.com. This has been, you know, a many months process that we've been, years process that we've been working on this. And again, we're just moving along the steps that we have been planning on all throughout the process as required by the town.
Okay. Can I, and we're not having any discussion right now, can I get someone to read the
I just
motion?
recuse myself before going in. I'm going to leave the meeting, so it would be the appropriate time
Yes.
before you read going in. So Councilor Bordelon here, I'm going to recuse myself because of the implied thing from before. So I just don't want to be anywhere around this project. So, you know, at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Bordelon's leaving at 8:29 PM. Okay, Councilor McBride, could you please read it?
Certainly. I'd like to make a motion. I hereby move that members of the Groton Town Council, Town Manager John Burt, Director of Planning and Development Services John Reiner, and Town Attorney Eric Callahan go into executive session pursuant to General Statute, Section 1-200, parens 6 and parens D and parens, for the discussion of the selection of a site or the lease, sale or purchase of real estate by the state or political subdivision of the state concerning potential purchase and development of the former Groton Heights school property.
Second. Motion made by Councilor McBride, seconded by Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right, that's 6-0 to 0. And we will be entering at 8:30 PM. All right,
Recording stop.
Yes, he did.
I'm more worried about it.
Recording in progress.
We are returning from executive session at 8:55, and there's no action. Our next step will be to have the public hearing on April 7th, and I will take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Motion made by Good, seconded by Real. All in favor?
Aye.
That's 6-0 to 0, and we are adjourned at 8:55 PM. Good night, everyone.